Is homicide on the rise? We're going to talk about it today. So, as you know, in the meantime, just sit back, relax, as we give you some of that juice. Juice. Oh, they move that. They move that juice. Oh, they move that. They move that juice. They move that. They move that juice. I tell them, you ain't gotta be bishop, you wanna have the juice. Everybody unique, no one can be like you. Welcome back to the channel. As you know, I am your man, Mike DeLoach, here to bring you some content of a black man in New Mexico. So, if this is your first time to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell as well, so that you'll get a heads up whenever we do drop some new content. So, back to the topic of conversation today. Is homicide on the rise? You know what I mean? Now, I guess I'll start off with say, I'm sure, every place has its flaws. I got a video as far as, is there a hood mentality everywhere? So be sure to check out that video as well. But, being that, I'm sure every city, every little town has their flaws. I say that to say this is because here in New Mexico or here in Albuquerque, there's definitely been crime, a lot of crime, you know what I mean? Whether it is homicide, whether it is carjacking, whether it is stealing packages from people's houses, whether it is, like breaking into houses and stealing from people's houses, you know what I'm saying? So, or even scamming, I know that's a big thing like on the East Coast, but you still got your scammers out there, and you have your drug related crimes too. Whether that be the meth, whether that be the heroin, whether that be the weed, you know what I mean? But the thing is, there's always, since I've been here, there's been this presence of crime. There's been some, I don't want to say unheard of crimes because there's nothing new under the sun, but I really didn't see that element of crime and violence until, I moved here. And again, don't get me wrong, not to say it doesn't happen where I'm from. But here was definitely exemplified or amplified, if you would. You know what I mean? And back to the question, is homicide on the rise? Now, I can't really, give you the statistics as far as what it was before versus what it is now. And when I say in terms of now, I want to take account of the pandemic or the pandemic. You know what I'm saying? So, if you look back to, when everything first happened, and keep this in mind too, some people were working and their jobs cut them off, you know what I'm saying? My job cut me off for a good month, before I got back into the work field, but, I was still able to collect employment, and I say that to say this is because not everybody had a job, you know what I mean? So, keep that in mind. Again, some people don't have a job, so they're not able to take advantage of these unemployment opportunities, and that's where your scammers come in. And I guess I really don't want to make it so much about homicide, but let's say, it's crime on the rise, because, like I said, if you're already not working a job and you're not able to take advantage of these unemployment benefits, so people who did get on unemployment, they may have been living their life, may have been receiving more money than they ever received, but, it's that situation where it's like, all right, somebody doing good, not to say everybody's a hater, but, in some instances, where you have that gap where some people are doing better than others, that may entice those not doing as good to do crime, to do evil. And for whatever reason that they're in that situation, let's just look at what it is, you know what I'm saying, as far as those people that are or may have that ill intent, they're going to go after those other type of people who may be doing better, you know what I mean? And like I said, I think about, me, I work at a hotel, so at my hotel, like I've seen just little petty crimes committed at my little hotel. You know, when let's say, because people come with bikes, you know what I'm saying? They hook them on the back of their car. You know, there's been people who come in and been snatching bikes, and now everything has a season, you know, but usually that would happen around Christmas time. Christmas time, people get desperate. You know, people may steal some things and sell it. You know what I mean? Now, if it may be they hustle, you know what I mean, or who knows, you know. But that's how they live. And again, with the carjacking, some people may just, you know, be into stealing cars, and they know somebody with a chop shop, and you know they may get a cut. You know, I never did it. Who, you know what I'm saying? So I can't get to telling you about it, but I'm aware that it happens. You know what I mean? And so back to the whole pandemic thing, you know, now it's getting to a point where, you know, people have been out of work for a while. Unemployment ain't flowing in, you know, like it used to, like it started off. You know what I mean? And so shout out to Glenn the Camera. He has the saying, you know, luxuries once tasted become necessities. You know, so think about that. You know, once people get a taste, you know, like I say, give person a piece of bread. Some people want that whole loaf if you give them a piece. You know, if you give them a slice. You know, so the thing is, some people may have been accustomed to living a certain way. Now, let's take account in the back to those people who are not working. You know what I mean, and who are in, let's say, the black market. You know, and let's say those type of people were dependent on those people who work those jobs. Because let's be honest, you know, a lot of people work jobs that they're not happy at. You know, and everybody has their vice. You know, so whether it be alcohol or drugs, but let's kind of go into the drugs. You know, let's say some people, you know, they work their 9 to 5, and after they, you know, the weekend and when they get off, they do what they do, and they have to go through the black market to satisfy, you know, their need, or you know, to get that fix, if you would. So now if you got people who are not making the money that they used to, they're not supplying that market. You know what I mean? Or let's say that market is in a higher demand, and only so many people can get their hands on certain things. You know, so that's where the robbers come into play. You know, because they say a lot of the crime has been robbery. You know, and it's been homicide. You know, and a lot of the robberies have been drug related. You know, a lot of the homicides have been drug related. You know, so the thing is, you know, there's always gonna be a black market. You know what I'm saying? And who knows? Let's say the black market's not doing what it's used to. You know, because things are rough. Things may be harder to get your hands on, and again, only so many people may be able to get their hands on it. And if people, like I said, we're used to that, they was used to that luxury, and it's no longer a luxury. You know, people get desperate. You know, and when you're in that moment of desperation, sometimes you never know what a person could do. You know what I mean? And I recently knew someone who was recently killed. You know, and I don't know the ins and outs of the story as far as what happened. You know, but you know, even in arguments, so it could be the slightest argument. You know, road rage is a thing here. You know what I'm saying? So people ride with their peace. You know what I mean? And sometimes you have people who are flashy that thing as they riding, and then you got those people who are bold, who will follow you. You know, you got people who gonna talk shit, and then you have people who gonna pull over. You know, when sometimes it doesn't always end in a conflict resolution. You know, sometimes it's resolved. I don't want to say resolved, but sometimes, you know, it leads to death. It leads to homicide. You know, and again, it could start off as the simplest argument. You know, but again, that's just an example. But you know, again, with the drug culture, you know, if people get desperate, they can't get their hands on something. They know somebody that's holding. You know, that person may be a target. You know, when again, with the black market, I think that's something that's always gonna be around. And if you got people who who wasn't working a job, who can't take advantage of this unemployment opportunity, and everybody else out here get money. Like I said, you never know the lengths that that person may go to, to live a certain lifestyle sometimes. You know what I mean? Or just again out of basic necessity. Maybe they got a family to feed. But, with all of that being said, I just want to say, be careful out there. You know what I'm saying? Because right now it's definitely an interesting time. Recently they was saying, the moratoriums on utilities and rent is about to be lifted, and it's because of the economy. Things are opening up, so jobs are becoming available. However, again, luxuries once tasted become necessities. Shout out again to Glenn and Cameron. People were used to living a certain way. They didn't have to work to make this money, and now jobs are being available and nobody wants to work, and the thing is people gonna want to go out. But the thing is, if everybody going out and nobody's working, that can't happen. We gotta have somebody working, right? You know what I mean? But jobs are becoming available, things are opening up, and nobody really wants to work, and it's like, how do we solve that issue? The only way you can resolve, I ain't gonna say the only way you can resolve it, but part of resolving that is, like I said, we gotta cut off those luxuries in order to get people back to work, meaning we gotta cut off unemployment, which may happen soon, who knows? But they're lifting those moratoriums on rent and on utilities. So if you've been one of those people who've been getting this pandemic money, PPP loans, whatever the case may be, EIDL loans, whatever, if it wasn't a grant, you're going to have to pay it back. Let's keep that in mind, unless you've been smart about your loan, if you did get one. But for those people who just got those stimulus checks and just the, additional with the taxes or whatnot, you know what I'm saying? And let's say you've been getting all of this money and you were living in a place where, there was, letting you slide on not paying the rent, you were sliding on not paying your P&M bill. You know what I mean? But the reality is, as they were talking about it, that's coming to an end as well. And with that coming to an end, they're looking at potentially over 100,000 people being evicted throughout the state of New Mexico. You know what I mean? So imagine that. Over 100,000 people get evicted. I don't know how many people that would be here in Albuquerque, but think about it. If you already got homicide and crime on the rise, and then you about to have all of these evictions, people can potentially lose their mind. But not necessarily lose their mind, but get into that moment of desperation. And then at that point, what would they do to feed their family? People that's probably never committed crime. And you see in those movies all the time, that one guy who never committed a crime, or was that good person, never bothered anybody, but until they messed with their family or until they got to a point where their back was against the wall, they did things that you would have never thought that person would have did. And that's how it could potentially become. And again, not to say that it's going to happen, I just want to, put that out there. And again, be careful, because, like I said, they say homicide is on the rise, but the thing is, it could potentially get worse if things play out for the worse when it comes to evictions and the job market or unemployment. You know what I mean? But keep your head on the swivel, protect yourself. Like they say, it's better to have it and not need it versus to need it and not have it. So if you don't have something to protect your home, might want to think about that. You know what I'm saying? If you still have one to go to. No shade thrown, but let's be honest. Hopefully you got a parent or a family member you can go stay with if you're in one of those positions that you may be getting evicted when the time comes. You know what I mean? So, and then too, if you are that person, I hope you find what you need to get out of that situation. So you don't fall, so you don't fall down that wormhole, or get to the point where you are desperate and you feel like you may have to take it there, whether it be crime or actually touching somebody. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, just like I said, be careful and prepare yourself. That's all I'm really trying to say. Prepare yourself. And again, hopefully you're not one of those people that's gonna find yourself in a bad spot in a couple of months. But like I said, keep your head on the swivel. I ain't gonna keep this too long. Again, I'm your man, Mike DeLoach, just bringing you some content of a black man in New Mexico. That's kind of what's going on right now here in New Mexico. I don't know where you at. I don't know if it's the same circumstances where you at, but I know what it is out here. And again, I've been living out here, so I'm aware of certain things that can happen. But, people travel through here and they really don't know what's going on. Some people have their questions or some people do their research and like, oh, being at the hotel, like I've heard this or heard that, like I heard they steal cars or whatever, but like I said, keep your head on the swivel, protect yourself. But if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell as well so that you can get a heads up whenever we do drop some new content, you know what I mean? And if you like the video so that it can circulate, you know what I'm saying? And again, don't be shy to comment. I want to hear what people got to say and what's people's thoughts, or if you see it too, or if you're in a different area, do you see the same thing happen in your area, or has crime went up in your area, since the pandemic? You know what I mean? But yeah, share the video, you know what I'm saying, so that it can circulate as well, but that's all I got for now, and until next time, we'll holler back. As always, thank you for watching A Black Man in New Mexico with your man, Mike DeLoach. So, if you haven't already, hit that icon in the corner. Be sure to click on my face so that you can subscribe to the channel and get uploaded, when we drop that new content. And by the way, be sure to check out one of these videos here as well, to see what else we got going on in the content, But again, we appreciate you. It's your man, Mike DeLoach, and until next time, we'll holler back.